We often talk about what's going on in the world around us. And as the scripture says, to live like pilgrims traveling through. This world is not our home. We're constantly told to live like an alien, yet we are surrounded by the political narrative of aliens crossing our border into our country. And we wrestle with dealing with illegal aliens. But when in fact, we are, once we are born again, our citizenship changes, our citizenry changes, and it becomes a heavenly one. We are born again, no longer of this world. Be not of the world, in it physically, but not a part of it mentally or spiritually. Now you have to physically live differently. And it says the things I used to do, I don't do anymore. The way I used to talk, I don't talk anymore. Even the things I used to eat, I don't eat anymore. Daniel, I will not take food from the king's table. And you begin to go through a transformation, a sanctification of looking less like the world that you once were a part of, not of this world. It's not talking about some other world, someplace else, sometime later. It's saying where you live now. When you go into Canaan, don't dress like them, don't eat like them, don't be like them, don't do what they do, don't worship their gods, and don't marry with their children. That's God's word. You're changed. You are going to go through an ultimate soul change when you're resurrected. Till then, you're changed now. Just like when you go into the military, they shave your head and they give you new clothes. Your attitude and your speech changes. The way you walk change. The way you talk change. What you eat changes. There's a change. You are no longer of the civilian world. There are rules now that you're going to live by to be in the army of the Lord. So, not of this world. And I think because the power of the Western world of our democracy, our capitalism, our merchandise, our consumption, you find it very difficult. And yet you tell your children, don't do what the other kids do in school. But you do it as a parent. You do it as adults in the secular world, in your offices and where you work, and where you shop. You find it quite easy to blend in, unless, of course, you're Amish or Hasidic Jew or Islamic in the long black robes with your face covered and only your eyes showing. It seems that it's very easy. Or if you're LGBTQ, they don't blend in either. You know, the world is not all LGBTQ, though the world supports it, but they're not that. They're only 4 to 5%, maybe now grown up to as much as 6 to 7% of your urban populations. You may find a higher percentage of people coming into that from a psychosis of mob mentality association. But that is still far, far, far below a majority. And yet they can still walk around quite confidently, they do, and competently. They walk around in men in dresses and men in biker clothes, women in biker clothes. And they don't have any inhibition about their purple, green, and rainbow hair and, oh no, chains and all kinds of stuff. Oh no, no problem at all. And even places of employment are not allowed to discriminate against them. They can identify that way. That's how they identify. And before you couldn't wear all of that stuff, but now oh, no, we have to let them express their truth, not of this world, as far as these lesbians feel the right. I have a right to not look like you, dress like you, and you will address me according to my right. Even if you don't know them, how dare you call me her? I'm a they, I'm an it, I'm a wobble, I'm a weeble. Oh, they have all kinds of words you better learn. Also accuse you of harassment and phobia. And yet, those of us who know the Lord, that are part of his kingdom, we are the real community that it's supposed to stand out from what we are around. We are the ones with the spiritual rainbow hair, if you would. And we should be identifiable by the way we act, the way we dress, the way we talk, the things we eat. We're different. We're supposed to be in the world, but not of it. Let them see you. Don't hide it. It's supposed to be quite apparent to the world that you are an alien. You're a pilgrim just traveling through. On your way, why traveling through? Because my kingdom is out of this world. And in John chapter 18, Jesus is arrested, Yeshua is arrested, and there's a lot going on in there. And he's brought before the Kohen Hagadol, and then the father-in-law of the Kohen Hagadol, eventually to Pilate, because the Romans are the occupying authority. And when Pilate questions him, he is said, first he tells those accusers, what has this man done? And he said, if he's done anything, then you take it. This is your religion. I don't know what's going on here. You know, we have a different law. We're Romans. If there's something that's done politically against our state, but you know, you can occupy your own affairs. No, 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 no. We can't. We brought them to you because, you know, we're in the middle of the holy days. We're about to begin our holy days. We can't be involved in uh, blood, libel, death, things of this nature uh, against a man. It's quite interesting. You can read it on your own, right? But it says here, they said we don't have the legal power to put anyone to death. And that's a whole nother discussion altogether. This was so that what Yeshua had said about how he was going to die might be fulfilled. So some things are happening because that's just the way they were going to happen prophetically. Doesn't need a reason or an explanation. You say that doesn't make sense. Well, of course it doesn't. It didn't make sense when Pharaoh kept saying, I'll let you go, and then changed his mind. That didn't make sense either. But that was done so that God could bring judgment on each of the gods of Egypt. And it was the Lord who put that in Pharaoh's heart to retract or rescind his previous agreement. Why? Oh, no, no. You're not going to get off that easy. The Lord sent a spirit to harden his heart and rescind his agreement to let the hostages go, to rescind the agreement to let the Hebrew people go. You get that? Why? Because God is doing, well, it doesn't make any sense. Of course it doesn't, because you're not in charge of the plan. He is. And there are things he's doing that he's not telling any of us. So Pilate went back into the headquarters, called Yeshua and said to him, are you the king of the Jews? Yeshua answered, are you asking this on your own? Or have other people told you about me? Pilate replied, can't I a Jew? I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, you're asking me this? Your own nation and head of the Kohanim handed you over to me. What have you done? I'm not familiar with any of your laws and religious rules. They brought you to me. What have you done? You know, one thing you could say about the Romans that they were people governed by law. and very strict. That was what had caused one of the uh, pillars of their empire to succeed as long as it did. Law abiding society, you have to have laws, not lawlessness. How can you govern an empire or expand it without laws? And what, and that's instruction, rules, Torah, code, and regulations, infrastructure. Yeshua answered, and that's social infrastructure, legal infrastructure. Yeshua answered, my kingship does not derive its authority from the world's order of things. You cannot associate God's kingdom with the world's. The two don't match. It would be easy to assume it, but it doesn't match. It's not the same thing. We are a species that our rulers and kings are subject to their people, which is why you have coups and revolutions that overthrow them. Is subject to the will of the people, either an elite few or a majority many. And for everything that occurs, our leaders are either assassinated or subverted, or the people storm, all kinds of things. God's kingdom does not operate by such a thing. That's humans. My kingdom is not of this world. My kingship does not derive its authority from the world. The Lord isn't the Lord because of anything we say. The Lord is not the Lord because of any book we write. The Lord is not the Lord. His kingship, his authority isn't because of scholars and theologians and apologetics, scientists, noblemen, judges, or you. We are not, God is not a figment of our imagination. It's the opposite. We are a figment of his. So his authority does not come from the world. If it did, my men would have fought to keep me from being arrested. In other words, if it did, my men would act like your men. There would be revolution and they would stop and they would go. That's why Peter was told to put his sword back in his scabbard and sheath it. This is not how Father operates. I don't know why doesn't God just do something? Well, one, he doesn't have to do something. He's already done it. You just don't know the plan. But my kingship does not come from here. So then, Pilate said to him, you are a king, after all. Yeshua answered, you say I am. The reason I have been born, the reason I've come into the world, is to bear witness to the truth. Not your truth, my truth, his truth, their truth, the truth. While most are scattered brain over the opinions of others because they equally feel that each one's opinion matters. You both can't be right.
I was thinking about it earlier when I listened to somebody talk about the origin of the Torah and how some things were written before the Torah. Well, what is the origin of truth? Does truth become truth only when it is written down? When it is documented and sealed or certified in an encyclopedia? What is truth? Truth is because it is, period. Truth was before Albert Einstein discovered the theory of relativity. It's always been there and it always has been functioning since creation. It didn't appear when he wrote it down and took a patent on it.
That is so true. So I guess you would say truth for the human is discovery of what is. It's the only way to describe it. Francis Drake, Magellan, Galileo, they didn't invent islands, they discovered them. And they didn't exist because they found them. They exist before they were aware of it. But in your mind, it's what we say. acknowledge, to acknowledge. When you come into the knowledge or the awareness of what is. We go to court, we adjudicate criminal cases all the time in our system. And what are we trying to do? The truth is the truth. One says you're guilty, one says you're innocent. The perp says he's innocent. What is the truth? It's trying to be aware. It's called discovery in law, legal terms, and arguments between the opposing forces, the prosecutor and the defender, the witnesses. What are we trying to do? Discover what is already a fact. What is already a fact? Well, he's either innocent, that's a fact, or he's either guilty, and that's a fact. And you can play a game in between about a lie on either side, but you try to come together and collectively discover what the truth is. And many times you don't discover it until somebody comes up with a piece of evidence, either late in the trial or long after they've been convicted, indicted, or even executed. That then you discover, oh wow, truly this man was the son of God. Truly that guy was innocent.
And it doesn't mean that you are going to find the truth. But even if you do not find the truth, it does not enable this philosophy of my truth, your truth, his truth. If I told you that my truth is that you gave birth to your mother, it's not going to change the fact she gave birth to you. So, all of this my truth, her truth, it's your opinion, it's not truth. Truth is singular. It is the truth. This is what was, this is what is. You don't have to agree to it, which is why Yeshua said, everyone who belongs to the truth listens to me. If you're not, don't worry about it. You can believe whatever lie you want and call that your truth, but it's not going to be the truth.
I've noticed most of the arguments and discussions with people is not about finding the truth. They're not interested. I would tell you 99% of the people I talk to are never interested in the truth. It's confirmation bias. That's another term. Look it up. You see, people that are interested in the truth will suspend their own bias or desire. They just want to find the truth, even if it hurts them. We find that, I think, the only place where we ever see that really practiced in human life is in a medical diagnosis. In that case, people seem only then and there more apt and ready to suspend their biases to find the truth. Now, there's some, but that is the area that I see pretty much dominated by people wanting to find the truth. And they're afraid of it, and they don't like the prospect of what it might be, but they come to a conclusion that they have to face it because the survival mechanism is maybe, okay, I don't like it, but maybe there's a plan, maybe there's a way, maybe there's a cure, maybe there's something that can be done, right? So when it comes to medicine and health, it seems to be the only area where people are more prone to accept a truth that they don't want or a truth that they might reject just to survive. But in every other area of discussion in life, people do not work by that percentage of seeking of truth. They seem, no matter what, they don't want the truth. They want the lie. They really are going to make that much money. This was really the person I should marry. This is who I really want to be with. This person really loves me. That is where I want to go. That's where I want to live. This is how it is. That man is really guilty. That man is really against me. That we are prone in every other area. And you will find it even religiously. Religious bias. When you're seeking God's truth about people, about yourself, you don't lie to yourself, but you do because pride and ego prevents us from accepting the truth about ourselves. Just go stand in a mirror and look in your eye and talk about who you really are. Talk about what you've done. Talk about what no one else knows. Talk about your real guilt to yourself and your eye. And then see if you find it so easy to go walk out that door, put your clothes on, and start accusing people and unforgiving. You are so holy, I guess, so perfect that you can determine who should receive forgiveness and who should not, because you are so perfect. Because you lie to yourself about who you are. So of course you'll lie about everything else. Truth, veritas, seeking the truth, and it's the truth you know that will set you free, not the lie you want to believe and call the truth because you can't handle the truth. You get so many people who can't handle reality. And that's a nice way of saying they like lies. You're not a victim. You use that to victimize truth because you can't handle the truth. Oh, you can. You just don't like it. And what did the writer say in the book of James? Why are you fighting with each other? It has nothing to do with the hate of the other person. It's because you want your way. You just want what you want. And at the bottom, we know that is the truth, don't we? We know that is the truth.
And that's why Pilate asked him, "What is truth?" There you go. The Roman philosopher, what is truth? And that's where it starts, doesn't it? The Greeks, the Romans, all of these geniuses. What is truth? You can decide for yourself what you want to believe. The Lord does leave it up to you to decide. You don't have to decide. He is your truth. You can go your way, and the Lord will allow it because He loves you that much. You don't have to enter His kingdom, and you don't have to be His citizen. You can go the extreme opposite of where He is and spend the rest of your eternal life away from Him.
He said it best. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Any man that cometh through me and by me will enter in. To come any other way is a thief and a robber. You have to come through the door the right way. You don't need to break it down. You don't need to batter ram it. You don't even have to bang on the door like the woman before the unjust judge. You're not going to come down the chimney like Santa Claus. You're not going to break in the back door. There is no back door. You're not going to come through a window. There is no window. You see, there's one way. There's one door, one way, one truth, one Lord and Father of us all. Remember that.